Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday, February 18th edition of the MMAOB Daily Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin, and I'm joined by Mr. Big Marcel Dorff. He made it here. He was delivering the mail, but he made it here on time. Marcel, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, I'm surprised I made it on time, to be honest. So
I'm glad you did, man. I'm glad you're here. Like, I was like, okay, I'll just shoot shop and for an hour by myself, but I'm much happier that you're here. It's a lot more fun talking about the sport with someone else. I'll tell you that right now. So
yeah, cool.
There's a lot to talk about, Marcel. I mean, I want to get your thoughts on the card this weekend because obviously I broke down the card with Cole, but I'd like to get your thoughts on it. But there's some news and stuff too. There's some fight announcements. How about before we get into the card, let's get into some news. Let's start off the top with some news. How about that, Marcel? UFC made 9 more roster cuts. Now they're not really big name fighters, and actually. Some of them I thought were cut a few years ago, to be honest, some of these fighters. But they did release 9 fighters, so we can go through the list here. First one that's worth mentioning, Aleksandra Albu. She's been released, women's strawweight fighter. You know what, man? When she came into the UFC, I was like, dude, this girl is so jacked. Like, she's like one of the strongest looking women I've ever seen in my life. Like, and she had some good performances in the UFC, Marcel, but just never fought really that often. Hasn't fought in 2 years. Overall, 2-2 in the UFC. She's been in the UFC for 6 years, which is crazy to me. But she's been released. I don't think you were surprised by that one.
Nah, man. And as well, man, what's her record? Like 3-2 or something? It's really weird.
3-2.
Yeah. The UFC always has it listed as 6-2 or 7-2. It's like, where the hell you get these fights from? You know, nowhere to be found. So, yeah, I'm not surprised, man. I think she lost her last against Lookboonmee and against Whitmire, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And also I think her fight, she fought Jamie Morrill as well. I think that was a close one, if I'm correct.
I think so.
And her,
yeah.
And her debut was against Badurek. So, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
Honestly, like these cuts aren't big names. Like, let's just get off the top right here. So if anyone's like, oh, who got cut? Like, these are part of the 60 cuts, but they're not really. And this is exactly why what Dana said, Marcel, we're cutting 60 fighters. It wasn't as like big of a deal as it sounded at first because a lot of the fighters, Marcel, are guys and girls that haven't fought in like 2 years and their contracts are basically just sitting there and they're like, we're just going to cut them. I don't like, yeah, they got cut, but do they really lose their job if they don't fight anyways? She hasn't fought in 2 years. I don't think she was planning on fighting again. Another fighter was released. This guy, you know what? He wasn't too bad. Ali Al-Kiasi. He lost 2 fights to Irwin Rivera and Tony Kelly, but close fights, Marcel gets released. I'm not surprised, but I'm just saying, like, his fights were pretty close, man.
Could have gave him another one, I think. I mean, it was also, I think, one or two were short notice, at least one. So, man, give the dude another fight. You know, why not? Yeah. And, they don't. So, I don't know what's up with that. Maybe the antics after the Tony Kelly fight, maybe let them decide not to. But I had the feeling that Al-Casey actually meant it in a good way, and Kelly didn't took it in a good way, what he meant. So it was kind of a misunderstanding. So, I don't know, man. I would have given him a third fight, but hey, who am I, right?
I would have too. Let me just answer this question for Solskjaer. Actually, you could, if you want, Marcel, if you know anything. He says, and he wasn't dating his opponent. Cole, my other co-host, he broke the news that Ryan Hall's hurt. So have you heard anything or?
Nothing. Literally nothing. So I asked some featherweights, but most featherweights wanted to have more time, or they couldn't take the fight at that date. So I don't know, man, what they're gonna do. I don't know.
Is it March 13th or is it sooner?
Yeah, it's March 13th.
March 13th?
It's in the 4 weeks, so 3.5 weeks.
I think they'll find someone. I just don't know who it's going to be. It might be like an unranked guy, honestly. It might be someone who's like, who's ready to take a fight. Just going through the cuts. Another guy, Cyril Asker. You know, another guy that's okay. Who's your favorite? Is it Cyril Asker or Georges Gano? Who do you like more?
I just can't stand Dano, so I will always go with Cyril Asker, the Frenchman. I will always go with him.
You know what? Be fair to the guy. I mean, he had a hard run in the UFC, man. He lost to Cannonier, Walt Harris at Tuvesa. What'd you say?
They should have let them fight each other, man.
Yeah. I would have.
He won against the Yao Zhang or something guy. Yeah.
Yao Zhang and Dmitry Smolyakov. So he went 2-3 overall. I mean, I'm not saying, again, not a big deal by any means, but he did have some promise on the ground. Anyways, just again, I'm telling you guys, like when I saw Nolan post the article on Junkie yesterday, and Nolan's great by the way, but I was like, okay, there's got to be some like interesting cuts, like just someone like Spike Carlisle, where he'd be like, okay, why was this guy cut? But honestly, Marcel, I'm looking at this list, and it's like you could justify all these cuts. Like the next woman here, Alex Chambers, 1-4 record in the UFC, and she hasn't fought since 2018. Marcel, like, that's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, she's already past 40, I think, right? She's already one of the older women in the division. Let me check how old she is.
I think she is too, man. Like she got in there pretty late.
Because I remember when.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I remember when she was on Tough.
Yeah.
I asked her how old are you, and she was looking like, yeah, I'm a little bit older than most people think. She's 42 indeed. So yeah.
42.
I mean, yeah, she looks a lot younger, to be honest.
Oh yes, she looks good. I mean, especially for 42. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Anyways, 1-4 record's not going to get done. Same with Chris De La Roca, heavyweight guy, Marcel. 1-3 record in the UFC. I mean, this guy, he didn't look good in the UFC, man. He got knocked out a couple times. Actually, I remember. Okay, I'll tell you a good story. He fought this guy Daniel Omer-Lanchuk like 5 years ago, and I think he was in England. And I was watching the tape on this guy on the regional scene, and he looked good, man. I was like, damn, this guy looks good. I'm going to put a bet on him. He got knocked out in like 30 seconds. It was so brutal. I was like, no, why is this happening? It was really brutal. That's why you don't bet on heavyweight newcomers who are like 35 years old. He's like 40 now. Another guy, Marcel, is a little bit older. He might be like 40-something, actually. Chris De La Roca.
Yeah, that's the big old Mexican with the big old head.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the guy's
would say that.
He had some brutal fights, man, for sure in the UFC, but just not good enough. How about this one? Go ahead.
Yeah, don't you remember that saying that to Rashad Coulter in the corner? Stop punching this dude, man, in the face. He's a big old Mexican with a big old head.
I remember the fight. Yeah, it was a terrible fight. Rashad Coulter's another guy I don't even know who's in the UFC either. Yeah. Yuri Kondo's another cut here, Marcel, 1-3 record.
She was gone a long time ago already, man.
It says she hasn't fought in 2 years. She's in Rising now or something, or deep?
No, she does something like how do you say that?
Stardom. That's what it's called. Yeah.
But she's gone for a long time. That's not a recent cut, to be honest.
No. And same with this guy. We talked about this dude the other day, Bojan Milhalovic. He fought Francis Ngannou, Joachim Christensen, and Abdul Karim Edlov. I think he got knocked out in all the 3 fights, right?
I have actually a fun story about him.
Go ahead.
I was with my colleagues and with MMA DNA. We're in Rotterdam for the second Rotterdam card, and one of my colleagues knew a guy where we train with very often. So we were talking, and he's like, "That's my colleague from MMA DNA," and he's like, "Yeah, I'm here with my teammate, and he's gonna kick some ass. I think he's gonna do really well." And I was like, "Who's your teammate?" He's like, "Yeah, Bojan Mihailovic." And I look to my colleague as he's looking to me, and we're like, okay. So as I'm like, yeah, good luck, bro. I hope you do well. And then my colleague is like, why you were laughing to me? And I said, dude gonna get smashed against Edilov, man. This is not gonna be good, man. So that happened. So Mihailovic was just couldn't make it in the UFC, man. No. I've never seen something special in this fight, so I'm not surprised that I actually thought he was already gone as well. So I'm not surprised. You're not surprised, I think.
No, not at all. I mean, again, these 60 cuts. Again, I think it was a little bit blown out of proportion. Dana White kept saying, like, we do this all the time. We just didn't do it during COVID. Like, you know Marcel firsthand. I mean, I'm the one writing the news. You're breaking the news all the time. Like, these cuts happen every few months. They'll have these like a mass cut, Marcel. Usually it's like 10 guys. This time was a little bit more, but they really weren't cutting people during COVID for the most part. They did cut a few people, but, like when they said 60 guys, like, is anyone really too upset? Again, I feel bad for these fighters. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they have families to feed and stuff, obviously. But this dude hasn't fought in the UFC in 3 years, Marcel. I can't be too upset about it, honestly.
I agree. I only hate it when people go to Twitter and it's like you guys should cut this or you should cut this fighter. I mean, you're basically asking somebody to how do you say that? To get cut, and that's basically someone who has to feed his family or her family or whatever. So I don't like that when people do that. But we can just say we are not surprised that these people got cut, But I will never ask the UFC to cut someone.
No, it's true. Actually, I used to do an article called Pink Slip Sundays. That's what I called it. and I would write about the fighters that had lost their fights. And then over the years, like I did it for like maybe a couple of years, and I was like, I don't really want to write this anymore because I felt bad. I have a big heart, and I just felt bad for the fighters that were cut, because like that's your dream ending. That's your family not having dinner on the table at night. It's a very heartless, ruthless sport, and that's part of any walk of life, Marcel. If you're not getting the job done, you get fired. That's how it works. I get that, but it still sucks for these fighters because they don't make that much money. Like these guys that were being released, Marcel, they were all making like 10 and 10 or less, probably. Like, it's not like they were making a lot of money. I'll get your question in a second, Tyler. I see it in there. There's just two more cuts we want to get to here. Suman Mokhtarian, 0-2, Marcel. To be fair, this guy, I mean, he had some tough fights, man. He lost to Sodiq Yusuff on Ultimate Fighter 27. Is that right? No, sorry. He in his first UFC fight. And then he also lost to Sungwoo Choi. And he was on the Ultimate Fighter. That's what I meant to say. So, I'm not surprised, but those are two tough fights, to be fair to him.
Yeah, it is. Plus, I talked to Suman, when is that? I guess it's some time ago, man. I think last year. And he was supposed to go fight on the, I think the Melbourne card, the one where Izzy fought. It's in February or March last year, right before the COVID started.
Which card? Izzy and Whitaker?
No, later. No, that later, man. Izzy Whitaker was in 2019. It was in 2020, March or February.
Okay.
So he was supposed to. Yeah, he was supposed to fight on that card, but he got injured, or he had how do you say that, surgery or whatever. And after that, I asked him like, when do you return? And he's like, nah, I'm cut, man. I'm not going to come back to the UFC. Right, that's already like I think that's already like 10 or 9 months ago when he said that. So I
remember you talking about. I thought it was like June or something. Wasn't it like Volkanovski was supposed to headline it maybe, or Adesanya and then Volkanovski, that card you're talking about last year? I remember there was plans for that. Yeah, and then
let me check.
It's fine. Yeah, it's cool. I remember the plans for it. I'm gonna get. Actually, wait. There's one more cut here. One more cut. Dmitry Sosnovsky. He had one fight. He beat Mark Godbeer. It was actually a good performance. Oh, okay.
248.
Yeah, 248. Well, that was in Vegas.
Yeah, Israel against Romero.
Yeah. Anyways, as far as Sosnovsky goes, dude, 2019 arrested on charges of abduction and extortion per bloody elbow. I didn't even know that. I'm sure you know a lot more about that than I do.
Dude is a good fighter, but yeah, he blew it, man. He won in the UFC, won against Mark Godbeer, I think.
Yeah.
Was actually the protege of Alex Oleinik. So, I don't know what happened to the dude exactly, but I read that article as well. But I haven't heard anything since. So, no idea.
That's weird. Okay, let me get Cole's comment. Yeah, Cole, you guys are right. My bad. Sorry, I was just confused for a second. My bad. That was the last. Yeah, man, a year. It's been a year since Weili Zhang and Yuan had their fight. Basically, like a year minus 2 weeks. That's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy. Let's get Tyler's question here. Tyler, what do you guys think of UFC flying Khamzat in to Vegas for help recovering from COVID? Do you think they should start helping others, or is this start treatment from Dana White? I mean, it definitely is, obviously, because they're flying the guy across the world to go to Vegas to get COVID. I guess I don't even know really what they're going to do. Like his lungs are like infected or something. Hopefully he feels better. I don't know. Maybe his is just a lot more worse than other people's. But obviously, the fact he is a big star, or they think he's going to be a big star anyways, I can see why they're spending a little bit more money on him. I hope he feels better. I mean, he's been out for he's been kind of sick for like a few months now. So, he's saying his team is saying June they're going to come back. Like, it's a while away, guys. Like, he's pretty sick right now. I don't even know if he should be should he even be in the plane flying? Like, I don't know.
They can get him in a private jet, right? So
that's true. Absolutely. Yeah, you're right.
So I wouldn't be too. People were already like, "Oh, they shouldn't do that. He's infecting other people." I was like, they probably do a private plane, man. And why would they risk the help from other people? I don't think they will. Also, man, I saw something with that really annoyed me, man. I have to say this. With Gilbert Burns, when he came home, his two children got to him, right, on the airport, and he had this mask here, just to welcome his children and all. And people are going to complain about, you should wear your mask the right way, blah. Listen, man, this dude had a devastating loss. He comes home, he sees his kids, he just wants to hug his kids. Let the dude hug his kids, man. I mean,
Yeah.
listen, maybe it's not the right thing what he did right there at the airport, but you have those people all the time complaining about everything they see, and I'm so done with it, man. Shut the fuck up.
No,
please.
I love it, man. Marcel's getting fired up. There we go, fired up. I love Gilbert, by the way. Like,
me too.
This is how you handle a loss. This is how you handle a loss, Marcel. You go out there, you say, I lost fair and square. He was the better man that night. I'm going to get my horse. I'm going to get back and be better than ever. I love it, dude. This guy's awesome, man. I knew he was I already knew he was a great guy from everything I've heard. Everyone I've ever talked to that had, been friends with him or talked to him, Gilbert's awesome. Great guy. Family guy. Awesome dude. Great competitor. I just love everything about the guy, man. I'm telling you, Marcel, like the way he's reacting to this loss, this is how you react to a loss. To be honest, it's like when Conor lost to Nate the first time. And he was out there saying Nate was the better man. He beat me fair and square. Remember that, Marcel? It was his fans making the excuse, not him himself. I like when guys are humble in their losses. So tired of Marcel when these fighters go in the press conference, they bitch about the referee or like Dominic Cruz when he got knocked out by Cejudo. Like, dude, you got finished. You know what I mean? So I like when a guy is out there being humble about his loss. You got a big fan here, Marcel. Daniel Burkhardt, Big Marcel is the man. That is correct. Much love from
Thanks,
MMA
brother.
and HD. What's going on, man? And Marcel is the man. That's true. Marcel is an important part of the MMA community. I keep telling him that, man. You guys got to tell him that. He needs a little bit of a boost sometimes, Marcel. Marcel, so we got through the cut fighters. There's a few other pieces of news, and then I want to talk about the card this weekend because I didn't get your thoughts on it. Let's just go through a few other pieces of news here. Cole actually did an interview with Drakkar Klose, and it was a great interview. But he's just like, I'm not the kind of guy the UFC wants because my style is not UFC friendly. He's basically saying he's got 2 fights left, including this fight, I believe. He seems like a guy who wants to be cut. Maybe, his plan is to just get cut and go to PFL or something where he could be a favorite to win that tournament. I don't think he's going to last much longer in the UFC, though. Did you see that interview?
I read it. Yeah, I saw Cole putting that out. I mean, I see always also a lot of hate for Drakkar Klose online for some reason. I don't really get it. I like to do it. He reminds me of the expression of a young Pat Smith. I don't know if you remember Pat Smith. I think you definitely do. Yeah. Yes, he reminds me of that. So he's a good fighter, man. He's pretty good. I think he's solid on the ground. He's good in stand-up, but he's not. He doesn't have that special kind of thing that UFC probably is looking for. He's just really. I don't want to say basic, but his basics are very good. He's a good fighter. So I don't know, man. I think the first time people really took notice of him was in the Mark Diakese fight. I think that they won via split decision, and he was talking shit afterwards. But that was more because Mark Diakese talked shit a lot in the build-up to that fight. So he got really amped up because of that. When he said like English fighter sucks, only Bisping is cool because he's the champ or something. He said something like that, and people really got angry because of that here in Europe. But I think he's a good fighter, but I see his point, man. I think he's kind of right, and if he really feels that way, he should look to other organizations, man. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities right now. I think for PFL, it comes maybe a little too late if he still has 2 fights, including this one this weekend on his contract. That comes too early, maybe the PFL. But man, Bellator, why not? One championship. There are a lot of options these days, to go to and to make a name for yourself.
Yeah, and what he told Cole is he's like, I'm not going to be a champion in the UFC. It's too hard to be a champion in this organization. And he's right. I mean, I like when guys are realistic. He's never going to be a champion. He can win fights, Marcel, but he for the most part is winning these decisions. I don't think he's really a guy the UFC wants to. He might win this week. He probably does, but I don't know how many fights left he has.
Plus, if he wins this weekend, then Violent Bob Ross has like 3 losses in a row, I think, or three losses in the last 4. So it doesn't do really a thing for him right now. Even if he wins.
Yeah, so, it's not really a high-profile matchup.
And also the original opponent, Jai Herbert. I mean, if he won against him, then Jai Herbert lost the last 2, both his UFC fights. So that didn't do a lot for him. So I agree with him. I think both guys are talented, Jai Herbert and Luis Pena. But I agree with him. The matchmaking for him is not really preferable for him to make it to a higher ranking in the UFC right now.
Yep, I agree with that. Let's get some comments. Daniel, what's going on, man? Klose sounds like he's self-aware, can be more featured in different organizations. Very true. Daniel said, the other Daniel, there's two of them. In Russia, fighters can make good money, ACA, RCCC, etc. Very true.
Yeah, problem with ACA right now.
This guy's picture, great picture, man.
The problem with ACA right now is that there are sanctions for American fighters when they're going to fight in ACA right now. So I don't think American fighters have the option again to fight for ACA. If you look at the last 2 or 3 cards, there are no American fighters on it. I don't know what they're going to do with Tony Johnson, by the way, who is the heavyweight champion. So
veteran heavyweight. Also, Shoeface Carlos Jr., he interviewed with MMA Fighting yesterday. He said the same thing, that basically what Klose is saying, but he actually got cut. He's like, it's a relief I've been released. Like, the UFC didn't like my style. That's what Junior was saying. They didn't get behind me because I'm not a big talker on the microphone and I have a wrestling heavy style, basable. So they didn't like him. Yeah, Shoeface, because he actually has a winning record, right? Like, his record's not bad, but he's not the most exciting guy. Couple other pieces of news here, Marcel, and then we'll talk about the card. Stephen Thompson, he's calling up for Usman next. You think he gets it? Because this guy's asking about Colby Leon. That seems likely. It's not official by any means, but it seems likely. Usman and Thompson. I would rather see that than Masvidal too. I got to be honest, man. I'm not interested at all in this Masvidal rematch, Marcel. We saw the fight last year. If Masvidal had won a fight since then, I'd be more into it. But he hasn't even won a fight since then. That was his last fight last July. He lost a 5-round decision. How does that get you a rematch? I don't get it. This is baffling to me, dude. Like, why is this even being in the discussion? I don't know any fans who are really too interested in seeing this fight. I mean, we'll all watch it, obviously. We're all going to watch it. But if it was up to me, I'd rather see a new fight. That's why I don't mind this Thompson fight, because it's brand new. All these other guys, they're all great fighters. Leon Edwards, etc. Covington too. Rematches. They're all rematches of guys Usman's beaten. Thompson, he probably does lose too, but it's a brand new fight, a different matchup. What's your thoughts?
In a perfect world, Israel Adesanya, not in my perfect world, but in a perfect world, Israel Adesanya wins against Jan Blachowicz, stays at 205, and Usman makes a transition to 185. That's in the perfect world right now, I think, for the UFC, because the 170 is pretty. Listen, Usman has cleaned his division. Besides Thompson, I think Edwards deserves a rematch, but I think I really would have liked to see the Colby against Edwards fight, But I agree on the other side with Colby as well. Like, I don't have to do another fight to get a title shot to fight Edwards. I agree with him on that. I know many people don't. I do. Yeah. The Masvidal fight doesn't make sense to me at all. It's probably a big money fight for Usman. That's why he wants to fight. But listen, man. All respect to Masvidal, but he's not gonna win that fight. And I would bet my house on it if I own a house that Usman is gonna win 99.99% of the time.
Like I said the other day, I'm one of the dummies who picked Masvidal the first fight. I'm embarrassed by that pick looking back. I just thought he could catch him. I don't think he can, dude. Usman is way better on the feet than people give him credit for. He's really good at striking. Daniel says, to be fair to Kamaru's interviews that entertain me regarding Masvidal, but the rematch is pointless. I agree with that too. Last thing I want to talk about here. This is so funny. Dana White did this interview. I posted it last night on BJ Penn. I don't know if you saw it yet, Marcel, but Dana White did an interview about basically gambling. And he's like, I'm a degenerate gambler. That's right. He's like, if you don't get it, I'm a degenerate gambler. I bet a lot of money. I bet on everything, he was saying. He's bragging about it and talked about how he lost $1 million on his boxing match a while ago. But I'm not surprised by the story. We already had known that, Marcel. Like, we'd heard stories about him playing the games in Vegas. Colby Covington, the one time where he got him in the casino. But, Marcel, I got to be honest. And listen, it is Dana's own money. He can do what he wants. He's a grown man. It's his business. I get that. It is a bad look, though, bro. When you're out there saying, I'm blowing $1 million and your fighters are getting paid $10,000, it's a bad look. There's no way you can shake it otherwise. It's a bad look. Again, it's Dana's own money. He can do whatever he wants with it. But the fighters aren't paid that well, especially on the bottom end of the roster. So when he's out there saying that, he can really piss some people off. I don't know if you saw the comments, but any thoughts on that, Marcel? Just the optics of it.
I haven't seen it, man, but it's just disrespectful, in my opinion. And I don't expect anything else, from Dana, to be honest. If it comes to fighter payment and that kind of stuff, So Yeah, I mean, I remember the Colby thing where I call him, "Hey, Uncle Fester, you're you're
That was
displaying
so
some
funny.
poker." So, yeah, that was actually really funny. And you pretty much didn't saw anything, but Dana was so embarrassed by it for some reason, like nobody knew he already gambles. But I didn't
Yeah.
know he was. I didn't know he blew
Here,
$1 million.
I'll
I
read the
mean,
story.
yeah.
I have the article. Let me read it. So he said
Uh,
he had a few different quotes. He was talking to ESPN Sports Betting, which, by the way, I think it's a good thing. Man. I'm with Dana here. He says for sports betting legalization, it's about time. I like it. It's a thing people do. Makes the fights more interesting. It's something I like. I'm from Vegas. He said I always gamble on every sport I'm interested in. Every Saturday, I'm looking at the lines for college or pros. I always look at the line on fights. He can't bet on the UFC himself, by the way. It's worth noting. I even wrote that in the article. He would never do. He wouldn't do that. It's not worth it for him because he's already making enough money otherwise. Why would he even risk that? So I don't think that's ever going to happen. Because I saw some people in the comments saying he probably bets on his own fights. You could say a lot of bad things about Dana. I do not believe he bets on his own fights. I don't think that's the case ever. He also said this, Marcel, I play table games too much. I'm a degenerate if you're not getting it. I'm a degenerate, yes. I love to gamble. And then he talked about the $1 million. He said, oh my God, what was the kid's name? Jermaine Taylor. Who did he fight? I know this for the ass whooping I took. He fought the tall, lanky white kid from Ohio, Kelly Pavlik. I bet $1 million on Taylor and got destroyed. It was the first time I ever bet $1 million because I was so confident Taylor was going to win that fight. So again, it's his money, he can do what he wants. I just find the quotes kind of like the optics are bad because if a fighter sees this, they're going to be pissed, Marcel. I'm telling you.
I always have to laugh when I see during the broadcast, you see those Twitter things popping up like you are like 6-time every broadcast, but
I know, what the hell, eh?
but you see those Twitter things popping up, and then there's somebody like, Vegas better put 30K on Macy Bamba to win this fight, and I'm like, maybe it's a dude who is a millionaire and he bet 30K. Wow,
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, no, it's so true. I was talking to Cole about this. I'm like, damn, these guys are high rollers because, I'm not as okay. I used to bet a lot heavier than I do these days. I used to be really, really heavy into betting. So there would be some nights of some big bets. Not anymore. I'm a family man now. I mean, I still do it, but not as much as I used to. But you got to be careful, man. I'm telling you. I was going to ask you, Marcel, about Dana and just what do you think the fighters will say like when they see this article? Do you think they're going to be? Do you think anyone's going to have a question for him, or do you think it's just like whatever? No one really cares because we knew he gambled, but he was really like in depth in this interview.
That's pretty easy, man. The guys who make a lot of money, they won't say shit, and the guys who want to stay in the UFC and want to be in his good views, they won't say anything. And the guys who are on the chopping block and don't care anymore, they will say something. So it's always the same thing. So yeah.
No, that's true as well. I agree with that.
I have 100 times fighters telling me like, this is how I think, but please don't say it in public, please, because I get in trouble. I mean, I wish fighters spoke out more, but the thing is, only a few fighters have the, how do you say that, have
ability?
At least something to say. Yeah, not the ability, but how do you say that?
Guts to speak up?
Nah, not that. That the authority to change something, maybe, but those fighters don't say anything because they're making enough money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. And again, it's his money. He can do what he wants. Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to mention this. I'm going to get these comments in one sec. Before I forget, though, I was going through the YouTube from, I think, Monday, I believe it was, or Tuesday. I can't remember. When we had Stefan Struve. Was it, you were with me, right? Monday?
Yeah.
Friggin', I think it was UFC or someone put a copyright claim in because we used that video I found. I thought it's a video on YouTube, and remember we were watching Struve's finish against Stojnic? Someone put a claim on that one. So I think it's still active. You can still watch the podcast from Monday, but they said you can't use ads because it was copyrighted material. I didn't get it from the UFC. I took it from somewhere else. Someone complained, though. So someone who watched the show, I think, snitched on us. Unless YouTube's algorithms or whatever are that good where they can catch that. Because, again, it was someone's clip from YouTube. I'm surprised they caught that, Marcel. I was like, what the hell? Anyways, let's get some comments. Tyler said, about 170. Contenders at welterweight are so inactive, it's frustrating. Edwards, Masvidal, Colby only have 4 fights each in the last 3 years. It's terrible, man. They got to fight more often. All right, let's go to this one. Daniel says, Usman you can't blame him for chasing a money fight. That's true. You only in this sport for so long. He's 33 years old. I get that. DJ Hooligan, love the show, guys. Can't wait to see the fights weekend. Me too. We'll talk about them in a sec. I want to get Marcel's thoughts. Daniel Edwards, UFC wants to be respected like NFL, except when it comes to fighter pay. In combat sports, I get it. Yeah. All right. And
So
go ahead.
So you say Usman deserve. You can't blame. We don't blame him for that at all. But let's go to the real problem here. Why is Masvidal the money fight? You know, the real problem is the fighter pay. The UFC pays the fighters. You know, so you get more money when you fight Masvidal than you fight Edwards. It's completely crazy to me. I know it is what it is. You know, but that's the main issue here. You know, if you get the same amount of money to fight Colby, Edwards, Masvidal, you know, it's kind of crazy, man. Let's go 3 years further. It's 2024, you know, and the Masvidal fight is still on. Masvidal is still hyped a lot by the people. So you got more money to fight Masvidal as a champion than somebody else. It's crazy to me, you know. And that's the thing with fighter pay. That's the real problem, in my opinion. So no, we don't blame Usman for wanting that fight, but we're looking at it from a sportive perspective, and we don't think. I also talk for you right now, Adam. But if you disagree with me, please say. But we don't think Masvidal should be next in line for Usman.
No, you definitely are speaking for me there. I agree with you too. Like he hasn't fought since that fight. If he had got a win, like Covington beat Woodley, right? So now I would be okay with if Covington got the shot because at least he has a win. Masvidal got smoked and then didn't fight. Why does that give you fight?
If Masvidal fought Covington or Masvidal fought Edwards, and I mean in a sanctioned fight, not outside of the cage, but in a sanctioned fight, and he won one of those two fights, I would have been cool with a rematch against Usman, no problem. But right now, I don't see it.
I agree. By the way, getting back to what you were saying a few minutes ago, I just to finish my thought. I kind of forgot for a sec. The whole thing with the bets at the bottom of the screen. Listen, I think it's great. Sports betting is awesome and it's good. It's a good thing. But those bets they put on the screen are really stupid. Like $30,000 to win like $1,000 in some fight. Like it's so dumb. They shouldn't promote that kind of stuff. I don't mind if they put the lines, obviously, or like when Jedi Goodman puts the live lines. That's great. But I don't like seeing the stuff where like this guy bet this much to win this. I don't want to see that, Marcel, personally. They're just doing it to promote the books. That's all it is about. It's like, hey, this guy's betting this much. Why don't you come on here and bet your money? You know, these books make a lot of money, Marcel. I'm telling you, the sports book make a lot of money. Let's get this comment from our boy Cole. Are you surprised we haven't heard anything from Edmund Shabazian? I wonder what the UFC will do with him. He's not being booked. At least Barber did the interview. And Cole did a great interview with Macy Barber, and Tyler says it too. It got picked up by Junkie. I think Nolan did it. It's great. So Cole, great job. I'm surprised because, you know, the guy was on the way to the top 10, got destroyed by Derek Brunson. We all saw the fight. He ran out of gas and got smoked. It happens, man. That was a tough fight. You know, a lot of people were really overlooking Brunson in that fight. Marcel, he's a very good veteran fighter, right? You picked him.
And they're overlooking. No, I didn't pick him, but they're overlooking Brunson again in the
against Holland too. I agree too, and I love Holland, but Brunson's a solid fighter, good fundament. You know, you talk about like remember you said about Klose, he's basic, good at basic. Brunson's like great at basic, I would say. Yeah, and he's real good at takedowns. He's not a great fighter, but he's good at everything, right? So
you remember what his nickname was back in the day?
Cisco or something? Was that they called him?
I think the human blanket, I think.
You know what, dude? I'm telling you right now, he was so boring. He was a super, super boring fighter in Strikeforce. And he had this horrible fight against Kendall Grove in this promotion called Show Fight. I remember like 10 years ago. And I saw that fight, and it was such a terrible fight. I remember saying, this guy is super boring on Twitter. He unblocked me later on because I was wrong because he's not a boring fighter now. But he was when he came to UFC, dude. His fight with Chris Lieben was super boring. It was one of those boring fights I've ever seen. He just lied on top of him for 3 rounds. You remember that one, Marcel? So, you know, credit to him. He has really turned his game around. He took the criticism in stride, dude, and he changed his whole style. He's a striker mostly now, and then he does obviously wrestle too. But remember that streak of knockouts he went on, Marcel, with Brunson? Like 6 in a row?
Yeah.
He knocked out like all these guys like
Uriah Hall.
Yeah, Uriah Hall. And then what's the old guy's name? Dan Kelly. I think he knocked him out, right? And some other guys. So he's underrated. But we saw the fight with Whitaker. Way too overzealous, got caught, got knocked out. But I do think he's an underrated fighter. So getting back to Cole's question, I haven't heard anything. Cole, have you heard anything about Edmund?
No, I haven't, but I can check.
Do it. So, yeah, well, I'd like to know. Marcel's going to check right the second, Cole. We'll get your answer in 5 minutes. I'm just kidding, Marcel. I'm just kidding. Let's see here. Mr. Always says the popularity contest, UFC. Very true. Danielson, he says he likes Brunson against Holland. I got to think about that fight more. I mean, Holland is super dangerous everywhere. So even if Brunson took him down, like he could easily catch his neck or knock him out from the ground on his back. He could lie on his back and be like this and knock him out. Like he's like that, man. He's crazy. Okay, Marcus's comment. Any news on Weili Zhang's title defense? Can't believe we're almost at a year since her last fight. A lot of the hype from the Joanna fight is gone. Dude, Marcus, I cannot agree more. I just said it about 30 minutes ago. I had mentioned, it's been a year since this card. This is crazy to me. You ruined all that momentum. Now, I understand COVID was an issue. I don't know if she could even have gotten out of the country because to get home, it took her like a month to get home the first time after that fight. I don't even know if it was possible for her to fight during this time, but I agree completely with the point in that, a year ago, she was one of the hottest fighters, and now no one's really talking about her. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's kind of weird, man. I mean, they're likely going to do April 17, April 24 in Singapore, I heard, but that's not 100% confirmed yet. And maybe she can fight on that card. I know they wanted to do JJ against Yan Jianan, but what I've heard last thing is that JJ doesn't want to fight. And they're likely going to do Zhang against Rose. So that would make a lot of sense. And I hope they do that. It would be in Asia, so that's cool,
Yep.
I don't know what they're going to do with JJ, but Zhang probably is going to fight Rose. And the problem is, what I've heard with JJ is that she really wants to have title fights or that kind of stuff. But, I mean, got to take another fight, right? I mean, the perfect fight would have been JJ against Tatiana Suarez, I think. But Suarez still out with an injury, man. It's taking such a long time. I hope we see her. Yeah, I hope we see her ever back, because she's a great fighter, and in my opinion, she could be the champion in this division. That's how good I think she is.
Yep, I agree. Okay, this is a good question. Josh Hayner, which heavyweight's a barking dog this weekend? There's 4 heavyweight dogs on this card. Honestly, any of them can win. You know what? So me and Cole obviously broke down the card on Tuesday. Go back and watch Tuesday's episode. You can hear me and Cole's breakdowns. But I do want to get Marcel's thoughts on this card. So let's just go through it, Marcel. But we got to go through it kind of quick just because we do have a few other things to talk about. So let's start with I want to get you have most of your picks settled? You're for the most part?
I have everything settled.
Okay, so let's start with this one. Rafael Alves against Pat Sabatini. Who do you like?
That's such a difficult fight, man, because I really like Pat Sabatini, but it's a short notice fight. Rafael Alves looks very good at MMA Masters, and I'm high at MMA Masters right now. I think they're doing an amazing job with all these fighters right now. Sabatini, I remember he got his arm broken like a year ago against James Gonzalez in a fight that would have propelled him into the UFC, and then he had to get back to the CFFC. 1-2 more fights, I think, and now he's in the UFC. It's a short notice fight. It's a 50-50 fight to me, but I'm favoring Rafael Alves to get this done.
I pretty much agree with everything there. It's a close fight. I wouldn't personally want to bet on that fight, but my lean is Alves as well. Now, talk about heavyweight fights. Sergey Spivak against Jared Vanderaa. I picked Spivak. I think he takes him down and basically grinds him out. From watching more tape on Vanderaa, so many holes. He's such a sloppy fighter. He could win because he's a big dude with power, so he might win, but I can't pick him, Marcel. I took Spivak. Who are you taking?
Spivak, yeah, I'm also taking Spivak. I think Spivak has a better ground game than Jared Vanderaa.
Decision or finish?
Decision, man. I think a decision. This will be a very long, probably boring heavyweight fight to open up the card. And it's perfect because it starts early here, so I can probably skip that first fight. So
you can have a little bit of an extra nap there. Okay, Draco Rodriguez against Eamon Zahabi. Love this fight. Who do you like?
I think Ayman Zahabi came with a lot of hype in the UFC, with his last name. Firas Zahabi, his older brother. Did well first, but in his last 2 performances, not really high on him what he did. Drakkar Rodriguez, I really like him. He came from the King of the Cage, right? He had that thing with a promoter who wouldn't let him go to the UFC. Then he fought in the Contender Series, did very well. I really like Draco, man. I think he's a good fighter. He's a fun prospect. I'm taking Rodriguez in this one, probably via submission in the second round.
Nice. Yeah, I like him in this fight too. Next fight we got here, Jamal Emmers and Chas Skelly. I like Emmers in this fight a lot, actually. I think it's a bad matchup with Chas Skelly. What do you think?
That's perfect because we differ in this one. I think
Really? Okay.
Chaskel.
What's your
Yeah.
thoughts on this fight then? Let's hear it.
Listen, man. Jamal Amers. I think he's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong. But Chas Kelly, I think Chas Kelly is underrated, man. In my opinion, I think people. I think many people think he's overrated. Actually, I think he's underrated. I don't think he gets the credits he deserves to get. Um, I think he has a solid ground game. He had that weird fight with the Wolfman Bobby Moffat where
Hmm.
he didn't tap or whatever, and the ref called it off. Really weird was that. I don't know exactly what happened anymore, but it's kind of a 50-50 fight for me. But I think Chas Kelly is better on the ground than Jamal Amers. That's
Oh,
what I expect.
I agree completely. The problem is Emmers has never been taken down, and I don't know if he's gonna be able to get him down on the ground Skelly here. So if he gets in the ground, I agree he's got a good chance to submit him. But if he doesn't, I think it's gonna be a bad night. But we'll see. There's gonna be
That's
upsets
my
in this card. Go ahead.
that's my expectation. Your expectation is that he can keep it standing. So that's why
Absolutely.
you go. Yeah,
And like I
exactly. Yeah.
said, there's going to be upsets on this card, so I'm going to be wrong about
Yeah.
some of these, and it could be one of them, quite frankly. Next up, Casey O'Neill and Shayna Dobson. Dude, I watched O'Neill, more tape on her. I wasn't impressed at all, man. What do you think?
Yeah, what do I think? I don't know, man, to be honest. I mean, Shayna Dobson, yeah, I'm not really impressed with her, although she won her last fight against Agapova in the first round where she was basically losing. I think she was losing 10-8 in that round. She was getting beat up, and then Agapova ran out of gas and she took over and she just submitted her in the second. Was the submission, right? Or was it
TKO punches, I
TKO?
think,
TKO.
wasn't it? Yeah, on
Okay.
top. Yeah.
Yeah.
On the top.
So, but man, Casey O'Neill. This is a low tire 125 fight. I don't feel comfortable picking Dobson, so I'm going with O'Neill in the decision. But I
Yeah.
mean, this is guys don't bet on this fight.
Yeah, this
Don't be
one too.
stupid.
I'm with Marcel. You know, I've really looked into this fight, and man, it's tough.
It's
I
really
think
tempting to bet Casey O'Neill because she's undefeated, right? But don't do
she
it.
is, bro. But I watched the footage, man. It's not that
Yeah,
impressive, dude. Like
yeah,
she
exactly.
struggles to get the takedowns. Her striking's rudimentary, if anything. I think if she can't get the first round submission, she's going to be in huge trouble in this fight. So I did pick Dobson, but it's not like I'm confident by any means, man. You know, my original lean was O'Neill, but after watching the footage, I wasn't impressed. I know she's undefeated, but telling you, Marcel, some of the opponents she had are really like bad fighters, quite frankly, and she struggled a little bit with them. So Dobson's not great; she's 4-4, but I think training at that camp, Elevation, that's a good camp, and I know that this girl's at Tiger Muay Thai, but man, I'm telling you, Elevation they're hot right now. I could be wrong, man. Maybe I'm just playing that up a little bit, but we'll see. Okay, Nate Landwehr, Julian Erosa. Let's go through these a little quick, Marcel, like 30 seconds each fight. I picked Landwehr by knockout. What do you think?
Yeah, Landwehr, man. Erosa keeps his chin high all the time. So, and Landwehr loves to strike and bang. We saw it in all his other fights. So, I think he catches him. Probably a first or second round TKO for Nate, the train Landwehr.
I agree. And I like watching that guy fight. Again, a lot of entertaining fights in Russia. Eddie Wineland, John Castaneda. Who do you like in this one?
Yeah, I have been going back and forth with this one. I think Eddie Wineland is a good is a solid fighter. He's a veteran, John Castaneda, he lost his first fight against Nathaniel Wood. It was a short notice fight, and Wood is a pretty good prospect in my opinion. Came from Combate, but I mean Castaneda did pretty well in Combate. Had some weird decisions against him. I think I'm going with John in this one. I think he wins a unanimous decision over Eddie Wineland.
Yeah, we talked about. Sorry,
go ahead. 50-50 on it.
Yeah, we talked about it on Tuesday, I think, and watching those fights back with Castaneda, I thought arguably he could have won at least one or two of those fights that he lost the decisions in before he came to the UFC. So again, you could just look at his record and be like, this guy's not that good, but really those fights were a lot closer than maybe people realize. Go ahead.
We fought in the Contender Series again. I forgot.
I can't. I think I have a hard time pronouncing the guy's name. Let me just double check. I think it's a very tough name to pronounce. What's his name again? Could be wrong. Maybe I'm mixing someone up. No, he fought. I know it's tough. Chadin Lealoa or something.
The Hawaiian guy.
Yeah, he won decision, so he didn't get picked up. But I mean, he does have some good wins. He has a knockout win over Chris Beal, former UFC fighter, on his resume. Don't get me wrong, he's not great, but for me, you can't pick Eddie Wineland at age 40 or 36, coming off that not loss to O'Malley.
I love Shaden Olealoa, man. I always have to check 6 times every time I type that name in on the article. So,
Yep. I'm gonna get the. I know. It's a funny one. Let me get this one. Hayner says O'Neal getting pushed. Dobson might be in the final fight with deal. I just think they want, like, basically Dobson's a gatekeeper. They're trying to see if this girl is UFC caliber, and I'm not sure she is. We'll see. DJ Hogan likes Dobson, but he's not sure if he can like better on her. I agree with that too. I don't think I could touch that fight, bro. Kyler says he has a hard time picking against anyone from Tiger Muay Thai. That's true, and like DJ said, it's one of the best gyms. I agree with you guys, but I also think Elevation is one of the best gyms. Corey Sandhagen, Blaydes, Overeem, these guys are getting it. And she's been training with Rose like a lot. So I think she's getting good training in there. We'll see, guys. I mean, it's definitely a close fight. And my initial lean was O'Neal. So I talked to someone that kind of swayed me either way. And I think it's the right way, but we'll see.
Dangerous, man.
I know. I'm not betting on that fight, Marcel. I'm not going to put money on it. Drakkar Klose, Luis Pena, close by decision seems very likely. What do you think?
Klose all the way. I think Klose is a better fighter overall than Pena. I think Pena... I think Klose wins this one.
Decision or stoppage?
Decision, 30-27.
Yep, I agree. Danny Chavez, Jared Gordon. I like Chavez.
Me too.
Yep. Bro, this guy's nasty with his kicks, eh? He's really nasty.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was really, how do you say that? Impressed against TJ Brown, right? In his UFC debut.
Yep.
So, and Jared Gordon, man, guy is solid, man, and I respect him a lot, but doesn't seem to really get it together lately in the UFC. I'm not really seeing what I expected from him from the beginning, you know. And Chavez looked so good last time out. Maybe I'm a little bit swayed by that, but I'm taking Chavez, man. I think he gets it done.
Yeah, I like him too, man. Next up, we got Tom Aspinall, Andre Arlovski. I like Aspinall by first round knockout. I think this is a terrible matchup for Andre. I know he won his last 2 fights by like ugly decision. Like he just outpointed what's his name, Linz and Boser. But I'll be honest, man, those fights were terrible. I wasn't impressed at all. I think Aspinall rushes across the fence and knocks him out in about 30 seconds. What do you think?
Yeah, man. Finally, we got the rematch of Andre Arlovski against Frank Mir's son, right? So, yeah, this is I mean, I like Arlovski, but I'm not gonna pick him in this one. I think Aspinall. The thing is, I'm not really sold on Aspinall at all right now. You know, I know many people are really sold on him. It's amazing, this and that. But the guys he fought is Jake Collier, a middleweight who looked like a heavyweight and fought at a heavyweight, and he fought Alain Baudot, who is also light heavyweight and not a heavyweight. So, I mean, this is actually the first time he's really fighting a heavyweight, and Andre Arlovski is a legend. But I'm taking Aspinall as well, man. I think he gets it done first round, and if this fight goes 3 rounds, man, maybe Arlovski can do something, man. Would be crazy if he can, but I'm taking Aspinall in this one.
I'm just putting like a poll up on Twitter right now. I'm saying which of the 4 underdogs has the best chance to win of the heavyweights, because there's 4. You don't really see 4 heavyweight fights on the card very often. You know, that's pretty rare. So that's my question for you, Marcel. Of the 4, actually, wait. Well, I'll ask you that after we break down the whole card, because there's still a few fights left. Well, I've already broke it down, but just your final thoughts on a few of these fights here, Marcel. Nasruddin Imavov against Phil Hawes.
Oh, man, I like Phil Hawes, but 100% going with Nasruddin Imavov, man. I think he's a more complete fighter, and I trust him more. Unanimous decision win for him, 100%.
Imavov, right?
Yeah, Nasruddin Imavov.
I'm taking him too. You know, I was a little bit more impressed by his overall game, personally. So I'm going to pick him, Marcel, but it is risky because he could get finished. Phil Hawes is dangerous.
He looks super solid against Jordan Williams.
Yep, I agree. I watched it again, and he looked good in that fight. He's good. I'm picking him to win as a dog. Next up, Olenek and Dawkins. I think this is a horrible matchup for Olenek, man. I think Dawkins smokes him in the first round, bro, with punches. What do you think?
100%, man. As long as Dawkins don't get in a weird position on the ground. But, you know, Dawkins is a black belt. I think he's a Gracie black belt either as well, right?
He is. Gracie, dude, he is a black belt, too. Like
He's solid, you know.
I believe he's going to be like tough to finish on the ground, you know.
Yeah,
like, I think it's going to be like Lewis. Like it's hard to finish like a little bit because he has he's actually better on the ground than Lewis. Listen, if Olenek gets it to the mat in like the first minute, he has a good chance to get that Ezekiel choke or like a rear naked choke or something, scarf hold, arm lock or something weird. He can do that, but Marcel, I'm telling you, his chin is gone at this point, and I think he gets KO'd really quick. And I hate saying that because I really like Alexi. He's a great guy, but I don't like the matchup. This is the UFC doing him a dirty here, in my opinion, against the prospect. Same with Arlovsky. I think they're trying to see if these guys are legitimate prospects. I believe they are. Actually, Dawkins versus Aspinall is a fight we could see one day for like a belt, maybe. I don't know. It's possible. Derek Minner and Charles Rosa. Everyone's taking Rosa. I get it. I'm going to take a shot on Minner here with the submission, Marcel, first round. What are you taking here?
First of all, no disrespect. Why the hell is this on the main card? Charles Rosa. I think he's overall better than I always say Derrick Minner because he has an A in the.
I know it's such a weird spelling.
So, yeah, it's Derrick Minner. I know. I always say Derrick. It's probably because I'm Dutch, so it sounds it's more likable to say Derrick here. Yeah, so I'm thinking Charles Rosa. He's not Brazilian. Charles Rosa. I think he wins by unanimous decision. I think he's good on the ground, although against Bryce Mitchell, what can I say about that one? That was a horrible fight for him. But taking Rosa here. I'm
just worried if he leaves his neck out like that against Minner, he's going to get caught. And again, there will be some upsets on this card. I think this could be one of them.
For sure.
Last two fights, both big favorites here. Caitlin Vieira against Yana and Blaydes against Lewis. I'm taking the favorites in both those fights, Blaydes and Vieira. I'm very confident in Vieira. Everyone's really confident in Blaydes. I'm picking him obviously by TKO ground and pound with elbows, punches, etc. I don't know how you could bet this price. Minus 430. Why would you bet on that? I don't get it. Like, there's so many other fights on this card. 15 fights. Why bet on the biggest favorite? I just don't get it. There's no value. I would cap Blaydes at minus 400. So to me, it's past the point of there being any betting value. I would not bet on this fight. In fact, Marcel, I got to be completely honest. Even though I am picking Blaydes, it's very tempting to throw like $5 or something on Lewis by knockout because it's plus 500. Like, I don't think it's going to happen, but that 10%, there's probably not even maybe 5 or 10% chance. So there's a chance. It's not a great chance. I'm not going to play it probably, but I'm telling you guys, don't sleep on Derrick Lewis, Marcel. How many times has he come back and won fights he's supposed to lose? So many times.
I agree, but we're more against fighters with not a high fight IQ. I think as Curtis Blaydes. I think Curtis Blaydes has a higher fight IQ than these fighters that one fight again. Pretty much. I mean, I remember Shamil Abdurakhimov, who was 3-0 from almost 4-0. Yeah. So I mean, and then we had Alexander Volkov, who was winning a fight and then got knocked out 8 seconds before the end of the fight. I was surprised by that, by the way. So, I don't know, man. I mean, Curtis Blaydes all the way for me. I think a decision win, even a submission win is possible, man. If he gets Lewis to the ground, I'm really not high on Lewis' ground game.
No, it's not.
I think it's really a one-punch knockout by Lewis or probably a decision or submission win for Blaydes. Even a TKO win is possible if he gets him in mount or something. So, Blaydes all the way, and also picking Caitlin Vieira, by the way. I'm not really high on Yana Kunitskaya, although I really like her.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm just looking at Lewis's record again. I've watched this guy from the beginning, man. I remember seeing him in Legacy, knocked out Rochelle. Wow, that was 9 years ago. I remember that fight. That got him in the UFC. He was supposed to lose that fight against Jared Rochelle. And, in the UFC, look at his resume. Look at these late finishes he has. Victor passed a third-round knockout. Rory Nelson was a split decision. He won in the last 10 seconds of the fight. I thought he was going to lose that fight. He came back and won with 10 seconds left. Remember that one? He did some ground and pound or something, got on top of him, and he won the fight. Shamil was a 4th-round finish. Marcin Tybura, 3rd-round finish. Volkov, 3rd-round finish. Linux, 2nd-round finish after losing the 1st round. So this guy knows how to come back.
Fight. He was losing the Tybura fight as well. The one was in Singapore, I think.
So exactly. So I mean, this guy, listen, he knows how to win fights when he's losing. That's why I wouldn't bet minus 430 against him. Go ahead.
Man, talking about Mr. Entertaining, Jared Rochelle. My God. I mean, geez.
Is he still in? He's not in PFL anymore. I don't think
man. I don't know where he is, but dude, I don't like to talk shit about fighters, but man, that's so hard to watch all the time. A Jared Rochelle fight, man.
No, I
remember Alexei Oleinik knocked him out in the 1st round, man. That was something unexpected back then.
I agree with that. Just getting some comments here. Close switching out camps, not having a true home right now worries me. Doesn't seem like his focus is all there. Pain can be dangerous at times. Yeah, I agree with that too. Tyler says he's bet against Oleinik too many times, always burns him. Yeah, it happens. TJ Hogan, Lewis, power, but I think Blaydes more agile, dynamic striker. Probably. I agree with Marcel. Blaydes is higher fight IQ for sure, no doubt about it. But mean, he had the higher fight IQ against Nagano, and it didn't help him when he got caught in the chin. So that's heavyweight MMA for you, Marcel. Tyler says, you're a DFS guy. You got to get your DFS plays on this card. I don't know if I can. So I should mention that I've joined a new website. It's called Elite Fantasy, Elite Sports Betting. So you guys can check it out. It's a subscription website, Marcel. So I'm still going to do this podcast. I will still give all my picks. I will still give them my analysis. That'll be the next step up, though. That's the next level of analysis on that podcast with those guys. I was, I've been brought in to be podcasting, writing, chat logs. There's a lot of stuff that's going on, but it is a subscription website. And I understand that not everyone's going to want to pay money to join this website, which is totally understandable. But from what I've seen, it is a pretty great website. And it's not like you wouldn't just be buying my stuff. You're buying everyone's, like MLB, NBA, NFL, etc. I don't know all the details about it, but I do know I'm supposed to give my plays out. So I'll give my plays out on that, and then you'll see it later on. But I don't think I can give on this podcast because, they're paying me to give it on that podcast. So as much as I want to, Tyler, I'm going to be fair to my employer on this one. And we'll take these last couple comments here. Lewis's loss could be attributed to his balls being hot. Throw an asterisk on guys undefeated, cools the boys down. My balls are hot. That was so awesome. Best interview ever. Derek, why are you taking your shorts off? Because my balls are hot. Marcus, do you think Brooks will ever go back to Bellator? Man, I don't know where he is. Like, he is I feel really bad for this guy because he was a Bellator champ, knocked out Michael Chandler, beat him twice, I think. Go to the UFC, really struggled in the UFC. And since then, he hasn't fought in 2 years. The last fight he had, was against Klose T-Bow 2 years ago, where he got choked out. It was a horrible referee decision. I don't know if you saw that fight, Marcel. You see that one? Klose T-Bow against.
Was it in Titan or was it UFC?
It was in Battlefield FC. It was just one show they did. They didn't pay these fighters. There was like Sarah Kaufman.
I remember that. Yeah, they didn't pay, but I don't remember the fight.
I'm going to pull it up here. I don't think this one's going to give me a copyright claim, so give me a second here. You guys can see how bad of it. This is a bad stoppage. We basically had an hour here, but we might go a few minutes over today. Is this working? There we go. Watch this one. This is bad. This was like 2 years ago. Look at this. And then ref breaks it up, but he's literally fine. He's like, what the fuck? I feel bad for him. Look at his face here. Look at his eyes here. They look at it. I got to get this picture. Look at this. His eyes are literally popping over his head. That's a bad stoppage. Anyways, to get back to your answer, I like Will Brooks. Dude, I don't even know if he'll fight again. And he hasn't fought in 2 years. So I'm assuming you haven't heard anything either. There was a bunch of fight announcements. I don't think we can get to them today. But, Marcel's page. I'll open it quickly, actually. Let's just do it. Do it for Marcel. Got to give that guy some love here. Go through them quick, Marcel. Like 30 seconds of fight. Sam Hughes, Lookboonmee. This is such a bad matchup for Sam Hughes. I think she gets TKO'd. What do you think?
Yeah, most likely, to be honest, yeah.
Maybe break her other nose. Oh, he only has one. Never mind. Jan Cutelaba and Devin Clark. You guys broke the news. You broke the news yourself. Yeah. Great fight, man. Love this fight. Two big guys, two strong dudes. Clark coming off the loss to Anthony Smith. I thought he was going to win that fight, Marcel, I'll be honest. Lost that fight. Cutelaba coming off the loss to Magomed Ankalaev in the rematch. I kind of lean Cutelaba a little bit. I think he's just a little bit more like dynamic, powerful, but he's a guy who's very flaky too. What do you think?
It's either Cutelaba via first round knockout or Clark via decision.
Yeah, or submission possibly. You could.
Oh, yeah, late in the fight.
Yeah, exactly. Next up, Jamie Mullarkey, Khama Worthy. Another great fight here. Khama Worthy, so underrated. What do you think of this fight?
Yeah, I agree, man. I was laughing. Somebody on Twitter said to me, man, Mullarkey looks like he lost his dog or something. So,
yeah, what's with his face? He looks really sad here. Like, poor
guy. I mean, Mullarkey, I think he actually should have won his last fight against Farazian. I think he did enough to win that fight. He didn't
yes. Oh, yes. That was a bad decision. That was in Fight Island, I think, right?
Yeah.
Terrible decision. I remember that one. I was surprised by that fight. Yeah.
Worthy got stopped by Otman Azaitar in his last fight. But
that's right. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Looked great in the Devonta Smith fight. Didn't look really good against Luis Pena, but got the submission in the third round after losing the first two. So, yeah.
Yep.
Look forward to this one.
Here's a good one. Mike Perry and Daniel Rodriguez, D-Rod. Basically, like, they're very, like the same guy, basically. I'm just kidding. D-Rod is more, like, they look kind of similar, but D-Rod is more dynamic, more strikes, more kicks, more variety of strikes. Mike Perry, probably a bigger puncher, more experience in the UFC, but I don't know, man. I gotta be honest, Marcel, I don't know if I can pick Mike Perry anymore. He just doesn't seem focused at all. What do you think?
Same, man. And just a question, what year do you think Daniel Rodriguez was born?
I can't see it there, can I? Well, I'm 32. I think he's he's actually older than me. He's 86, I think.
Hey, look at his chest, man.
Oh, it does say 86. That's all right. It's still a good guess, though, man. I'm the best. I got the guess right, even though it was right in front of me. I'm not good. I didn't even notice it, dude. And then his says God's gift right here. And then I think it says Los Angeles on his chest. It says, haters, hate it or love it. So the lyrics of that great 50 Cent song. That
50 Cent, the game.
Hate or love it, 1986. So we know when he's born. So they can identify the body later on. They'll know who it is. No, I'm kidding. I actually like him in this fight. It's a good fight for him. I think.
Same, likewise, yeah.
If anything, it could be Perry waking up with the doctor's flashlight. Are you okay? You up? It could be a bad. I don't like Mike Perry as a fighter, but Marcel, all this stuff outside the cage. Shake my head. This is a rebooking. Munoz and Rivera, 27th. You know what's crazy? This is the second time for Rivera getting COVID. That is crazy. Poor guy. 2 times. And then
what's funny thing? People are like, finally, there is a good co-main event on that card, and I'm like, it's not even a co-main event. It's the second fight of the main card.
Yeah, it's a quality fight, though. I like that matchup. And then the last one, Blagoy Ivanov and Marcin Tybura. This picture, look at this poor guy with that hole in his heart. Marcel,
it's a stab wound, right?
Yeah, I know. I remember from it was like 10 years ago now too. Crazy. Yeah. Respect for both these guys. Both pretty I think they're both the same spot. Blagoy somehow ranked above Tybura, which I don't get because I looked at Blagoy's record. Why is he ranked above Tybura? Tybura has more wins, more win streak. I think Tybura. Go ahead.
Tybura had his best year in the UFC last year, man.
Great. Why is he? I think he should be 13 and Ivanov should be 15. Personally, but it doesn't matter. I got to be honest, Marcel. I like Tybura a lot in this fight.
Me too.
Yeah, because he's looked great, and Ivanov doesn't fight often at all. Wow, Tybura's the older guy. How is that possible? Ivanov looks like he's looked about 40 years old for the last 10 years. That's crazy to me. Anyways, DJ Hogan, Lewis is one of the best Instagram accounts he does. All right, it's been an hour, Marcel. So I think that's going to be it. I actually put that poll on Twitter about my boy Albert Fernandez, who I met in Brazil a few years ago when we saw the UFC card 237. He goes, I'm like, which of these underdogs can win? And he says, my boy Juan Espino could smash the ball. He's from Spain. He goes, my boy Juan Espino is going to be the champion. He's been telling me this about 2 years, Marcel. And I really like Juan a lot, but he doesn't fight he fights once a year maybe? Not even once a year.
He got a fight lined up, so.
Is he fighting again?
Yeah, but he doesn't want to confirm it.
Wait, he doesn't. Okay, so you can't say. Okay, fair enough.
No.
All right, that's it for today's podcast. Marcel, man, thanks again. Short notice, jumping in here. Sure. Plug your stuff, Marcel.
Big Marcel24, Instagram, Twitter, MMADNA.nl, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever the hell you can find it. And thanks again for having me, Adam. Always a pleasure.
No, you're welcome, man. So I want to plug a few things here before I get out of here today. Bear with me for 1 sec, Marcel. So I've joined a few websites in the last few days. I put this tweet out last week. Dude, I need more work, especially with the kid coming. I mean, I gotta make more money. So thankfully, I got some people interested, Marcel, and I got a few gigs lined up. I'm gonna show the websites here because some people might not know them. Here's the one, Elite Fantasy. So again, it's a package thing, right? I guess it's $20 a month or something. I don't know all the details about this. This is something that I understand not a lot of people, not everyone's going to want to do. For me, I don't really love subscription things either. So I get that. But if you really do want to, take the next level, this would be it. So that's one thing to look at, leadfantasy.com. That's why I'm going to have to stick to the DFS stuff on there. I just, to be fair to those guys, they're paying me, to do that there. So the other thing I want to talk about here is this Fanatics Fantasy app, Marcel. I joined this website. I put my first article up there today. It's main card preview for this card. So it's pretty cool, but they have an app. It's a free app. The app's unbelievable. I just downloaded it yesterday. It's really good, and it's free. So it's not like they're charging money, guys. This is completely free. It's a cool app, Marcel. It shows all the fights. You pick them, and you go against other people. And there's like a Reddit group, a Twitter group, etc. I'm sure I'll have my own group at one point. And then you have, people's rankings by, I think, win percentage and stuff. And also, like, they have the Vegas odds there. So it's cool. I really like the app, Marcel. I hope you download it too. I'm going to do it this weekend. And again, it doesn't cost money, so that's a good thing. And the other website, MMAnews.com, just to give you guys a plug as well. I joined this website last week. They do a great job here. Great news website, Marcel. Cole's on this website. And, of course, guys, my other homes, bjpen.com, MMAratings.net, MMAoddsbreaker.com. I think that's it. Man, I'm ranking for 6 places now. Can you believe that? 6 places. I went from 2 to 6 in like a week, basically. Crazy,
Pressure,
eh?
man.
Yeah, in not a week, 2 or 3 weeks. I'm excited, man. But, I appreciate all the support from everyone, including you, Marcel. I mean, especially since you started coming on the podcast, I feel like it's, taken off a lot better. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you again. That's it for today's podcast, guys. I hope Marcel enjoys his weekend. I hope his picks are all really bad so I can surpass him in the pick'em pool, because right now Marcel is somehow number 1 by like quite a bit. You're killing it, man. Hopefully I can beat you this weekend. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Enjoy the card. Be back Monday, 10 a.m. to recap.